All right, guys, welcome to the Independent Comic Creators Podcast. My name is Wes. Today I have my new friend Dan with me. We're going to be looking at his book, Fructus Seminalis, and we're going to be talking a little bit about indie comic creation, his process with working with different artists, what he looks for when he's working with different artists, that sort of thing. And so I came across Dan's work through this free book, which I'm going to include in the link in the description box. He has a free comic on Gumroad called Fructus Seminalis, and I thought it was really cool. I think the artist it is that Dan worked with was really good, and what drew me to it, what made me want to make this video, was that it's completely wordless. And here on my YouTube channel, I talk a lot about like the visual narrative, being the primary force behind doing comics in my tutorials and stuff like that. And so I thought this book would be a good example of that. And Dave, do you want to give us a brief introduction? You want to give us like a rundown of yourself? How'd you get involved in doing comics?
Uh, I got into comics maybe like 12 years ago through a good friend of mine. Uh,
Hmm.
was never really into them as a kid, um, mostly because I had friends with very bad taste in comics back then. I loved Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
I loved a few things. But yeah, I when I started getting into some of the more like story-driven uh, pieces that connected with me. It just kind of blew me away, the medium, the potential.
Hmm.
Um, and I've been reading fewer and fewer novels and more comics over the past decade as a result. Uh,
Okay.
uh, uh, one, I think a comic that probably got me thinking, a couple comics that got me thinking in this direction, that really come to mind are S.R. Bissett's Tyrant. Have you ever checked that out?
Say that one again.
Stephen Bissett did this 4 issues of a comic called Tyrant, which was going to be about the entire life of a Tyrannosaurus Rex from conception through its death. It only got 4 issues in, but it's still just about my favorite comic. Um,
I think the audio's fine. The audio's fine. Not trying
yeah.
to freak you out, but when you move around a lot, it seems to vary quite a bit for some reason. Because I heard the name of the comic, but I,
Mm.
c- I couldn't make it out. What was the name of the comic?
Tyrant by Stephen Bissett, or I think he
Steve,
was calling himself S.R. Bissett in that
can you
publication.
post it in the private chat, and I'll
Oh
I'll
yeah,
pull it up.
absolutely. Uh, oh right, I gotta get a full screen.
Tyrant. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that's what it is. That you said SR Besets Tyrant. Let me pull up some images of this. Oh wow, this looks really cool.
It's amazing. I mean, it's not a silent comic at all. His writing, his prose in that series are as amazing as, well, almost as amazing as his illustration. Um,
Let me share. Yeah, okay, so this is
yeah, there.
SR Beset's Tyrant.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
I
that.
love stuff like this. This is, yeah, I think what's really cool about comics is that it can really tell stories that other mediums can't, just because
Hmm.
it's such a visual medium. That, like you said, even though it has the text, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so it's not a silent comic, but just this scene alone, and we'll take a look at your comic here in a minute. This reminds me of Fructus.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the shot to shot of something evolving, or hatching out of an egg. Yeah, I love like super detailed ink work. I love seeing the originals that artists do of this. What is this guy doing? He's fighting one of these. It seems like, is he fighting
Oh
one of
yeah,
these?
the blood and berries. That's a beautiful. Oh no,
Oh,
that's not. I don't know what that is. That's
okay,
that
that's
might be
something
something else.
else.
Yeah, that's one maybe one of his extras from one of those books. Uh, the issue three of that is or is entirely inside an egg, and it's just this amazing feat of research and art that it
Okay.
just blows me away every time I go back to it.
So was this? So this guy was like he was an inspiration, just overall, that
Uh,
made you want to do comics, or like what specifically was it that inspired you?
to do comics, I don't know. I'd always been I love stories,
Hmm.
and when I started realizing that you can write stories for comics that are different from how stories come across in any other medium, and how accessible that is, how possible that is.
Hmm.
I don't write in prose. I don't like writing stories only in prose. I don't know where descriptions begin and end, and where to let a reader go. I mean, there's this power to spending all this time thinking about an image and everything that is nested inside, one frame or one page spread, and the reader can take whatever they want from that, as much or as little. You know,
Yeah.
they can spend that time looking in and mine it for all it's worth, and they can be like, oh, that looks cool. Turn the page. And
Hmm.
it's it it gives the reader or the more control over their experience than anything else, and that's where it comes to life. And so something like this that just sort of sucks you in on its own terms. His writing is just it's this combination of just giving you information,
Hmm.
these glancing blows of all of his research, and this really evocative kind of language that just describing the thoughts of a protagonist who's at that point this mother Tyrannosaurus.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, so when I started trying to write a story that's about a little alien creature, uh, I did start by thinking along the lines of, well, explaining scenes, explaining things that are going on and qualities that it possesses. But every time I started writing those things, writing narration flaws, I think, well, is there is there a way I can get that onto the page so that it's there if you want it, and it's not bombarding you if you don't want it. Um,
Hmm.
and that once I committed to making it silent, that unlocked so many possibilities. I mean,
Hmm.
at a certain point, you stop trying to process a story with language at all,
Hmm.
and if you're trying to get into the head of an animal that itself doesn't have language, that kind of helps. Um, just
Yeah.
something. Hmm?
What was the process of working with the artist? Because you say you're the writer, but you don't like to write the prose. You like to you prefer stuff that doesn't involve like a lot of like description. So I'm curious, like how did you work with the artist? Was it more giving them kind of a general vibe and breaking down like panel to panel how you saw the story playing out?
Yeah, I mean, so the script breaks things down into panels, but I'm also real clear that what I need an artist to do is understand what's happening on each page and each spread of 2 pages. Those are my basic units, and within that, um, if they see a totally different way to present what's happening on a page that works better for them, then that's what I want to go with. Um, for me, the most important thing about working with an artist is choosing the right one.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've done that, I want them to be like an auteur and turn to me for help. Turn to me like I'm at your disposal if you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand something about a character or about what's happening on a page. Then we'll talk about it. Um, and I saw a lot of Maxim's work. It's a lot of like anthropomorphized animals, stuff that reminded me of like Black Sads, a lot of stuff that I really like. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought his, this character that's hard to suss out. I thought he'd be perfect for it because he can lend just enough of that relatable cartoonish quality while keeping it you know true to what it is, which is this dispassionately told story that's supposed to encapsulate the entire life cycle of this being. So yeah, uh, I want to work with artists who definitely understand this medium better than I ever will. You know, I didn't grow up in love with comics, and like the my blind spots are ridiculous. Like almost every time somebody sees this comic and says, "Oh, this kind of reminds me of something." Did you ever? It's like, no, I've never seen. I want to. The list keeps growing. Um,
Yeah.
and occasionally I get to check one off that list, but it's growing faster than it's shrinking. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you know, Maxim Maxim has a real vision, and like my job is to get him to understand the things that he really needs to understand, so
Mm-hmm.
that his vision can end up on the page.
Yeah, I also see that what's interesting to me also is that you took the time to translate the text for Gumroad into different languages, but obviously you don't need to do that whenever you're with the actual comic because there's no text. I'm curious what your thought pattern was. What was your thought behind that? Because I see it's got 3 or 4 languages here written out.
Oh, well, it's a lot more than that. I was just having fun. I think really one of the things that I love about having a a silent comic is that it's accessible across any language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there are some languages where they read right to left, and so that would be counterintuitive. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well it translates across all cultural um, barriers, but I love the idea of it being accessible, at least well beyond an English speaking readership. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, so I just started putting translations of that like one sentence summary up, and that's why I wanted everything that's like the title page and inside cover, like all the boilerplate stuff is in classical Latin because I don't know why not.
Yeah.
Just to get it out of this strictly English language audience.
So has it helped you putting those descriptions there in different languages? Has that helped you get an audience that's bigger than just the English market? Like, has it shown up in the algorithm for different markets? Have you gotten emails from people from like Japan or something?
I mean, people download it from all over the world,
Okay.
but I don't know for the most part who any of those people are. For example, one guy downloaded it from Thailand, but you know,
That would be
that
me.
I know. That doesn't tell me that it's necessarily someone who doesn't speak English and is a Thai speaker. You know.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I do see downloads from all over the world, and that always makes me happy. I mean, it makes me happy when anyone downloads it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a cool comic, man. I mean, like I'm flipping through it right now. For those that are looking at the screen, and it's not short. It's 43 pages, and it looks like a full arc of a story. I can tell that both of y'all guys had fun with it. So how did you come across your artist? Can you put the artist name in the chat, and then I can
Yeah,
pull up some.
it's actually right on the front cover there.
Is
But
it?
yeah,
Okay. Uh, Maxim.
Maxim
Okay.
Mel. Yeah.
Where did you find your artist?
I found he had posted uh, his work various places online, and I can't remember which is the first place I encountered it, but it might have been on Reddit. It might have been on another artist's website. But
We'll share the artists um, their Instagram. Give me one second
mhm.
here.
Yeah, yeah, and I'd love to show you some of the stuff I was looking at
Yeah, so
back when I was. Yeah.
I love the ink work,
Hmm.
stuff like this. Really nice work. So he does his work traditionally then,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
right?
And I mean,
Do
as much as I love the coloring, there were a few pages in this book that I loved the ink so much that I almost wished it was a
Mhm.
black and white book occasionally. Um,
Do you
but
own any of the originals, or does he own the originals?
he owns all of the originals. I would love to get my hands on some of them from him someday. But yeah, I don't know how reliable shipping is. He's in Russia.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, very much looking forward to living elsewhere, but not the easiest thing right now.
Let's see here. So you said that there was anything in particular that jumped out at you? Oh, these are great.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the. I mean, I love the way he does humans. I'm working on him now with a comic like set in modern day Philadelphia. But
Hmm.
for this project, it was a lot of the work um, that he does with anthropomorphized animals. Like that duck there.
Okay, stuff like this. Yeah.
Yeah, like okay, this guy can bring like real character and expressions to
Hmm.
a character that's definitely a mystery. Definitely, the whole idea of this character is to get you to maybe reconsider some basic assumptions about life uh, that maybe you
Hmm.
don't even think about so much. Um, but yeah, you need a great artist for that, and I really think Maxim is amazing.
Say that one more time. You're cutting out.
Oh, I said you really need a great artist to do that, to bring somebody into a character that is so different from life as we know it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some great work. He's got some really good work. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the traditional ink work. I just think it's something that, especially if there's a lot of comic artists that look at my YouTube channel that are watching this, but um, we tend to go towards the digital because it's just easier to work through. But yeah, I mean, it's undeniable to do traditional comics and then to have those physically with you, as opposed to just a file.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Let's flip through this book a little bit more, and then you can tell me a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. Give me one
Cool.
second here. Yeah. So you have different artists for different things it is that you do, and generally, whenever you're looking for artists, you're looking for them like on Reddit, or like what in your mind separates an artist that you can work with versus somebody who, like it's a huge there's like a huge lack of professionalism with some artists, you know what I mean? So I'm curious
Yeah.
if you've had that experience, and like uh, what how did you weed through people to find people that you wanted to work with? Like, was there something that stuck out specifically about the way he presented himself, or the way it is that artists present themselves, that sticks out to you?
Uh, yeah. Well, I have had some. It hasn't all been good luck with artists. Uh, but with uh, one of the things that I learned was to spend some money up front on like character development, uh,
Yeah.
and see how responsive an artist is at that level, and just what it's like going back and forth with them. And that can tell you a lot. It not always, because sometimes it just tells you that they're hurting for money right now, and they'll get right back to you, and then that circumstance changes in a month. Um,
Yeah.
but with Maxim, I just had a really good feeling from him off the bat. Um, and well, I mean, first I thought his art looked like was a great match for this project. That's where I need to start. But
Hmm.
so if you go to the back of this book, you'll see some of the early art that we did in the extras. Um, yeah. So
Awesome.
go past and past. Oh no, sorry. Go back. Go back. Just back.
Oh yeah.
There we
Cool.
go. There we go. This is
Yeah.
really where we started. Um,
Hmm.
was just let's figure out what this guy looks like, and I didn't want to tell him too much. Um, like with that first guy in the upper left, I think the feedback
Hmm.
was, well, he doesn't look like he could climb a tree, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, or do you think maybe he could? I don't know. Uh, and other than that, I think I asked for the eyes to be spaced a bit more, because for the purposes of this story, like how a creature might evolve in a way that makes sense. That was more important to me. I didn't want the like
Hmm.
Hanna-Barbera level of cartooniness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I love that.
but the rest of it, it was really his design. I never said it had three trunks or what color it was. I said it was a bright color, and
Hmm.
then by the end of the book, it's a more muted color because it's bright. But I wanted him to just sort of understand it on functional levels, and then surprise me, and he really did. I mean, I don't even remember how I pictured things. at this point before
Mhm.
Max and Max's work.
Yeah, look, it looks awesome. I especially love this ink page right here, and
Yeah.
the contrast between his blue lines that he puts down, and then the ink pages. It looks really nice. Did he color this traditionally or digitally?
I think the coloring is done digitally.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense because it's a lot easier to do it digitally rather than to put something beautiful like this down and then start putting color on it. I mean, it can be a nightmare if you screw it up because the brushwork is just like really intense on this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, I'm sure it was digital because there were a couple things we went back and forth about. Maybe about like making it clear what time of day it was in a couple panels.
Hmm. Yeah, man. Okay, cool. Well, this one was kind of a short episode, but I just wanted to share Dan and Max's book with you guys. I thought this was like a really good example of somebody doing their own thing, doing something unique with it. You know, it's not like the typical superhero thing, and then putting it out there for people to read for free. So it's very cool. And I appreciate your time, Dan. I
I
appreciate you
appreciate
taking.
yours. Thank you so much for bringing me in.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, that's going to be the ending of this. Dan, we'll talk a little bit after I end the recording. But for those that watched, thank you so much and take care.